you want to lose some, you want to get somebody that's lost a lot of weight, you know, and that applies to any genre. And another thing that's so critical in this pathway to success is who you surround yourself with. Okay. There's no greater impact than your peers on your success. Who you surround yourself with is who you become. The 5 people you're around is who you're going to become, both from a health standpoint, from a happiness standpoint, from a relationship standpoint, and definitely from a financial standpoint. So choose wisely, guys. And if you've got negative influences in your life, you know, I try to stand guard at the door to my mind. I don't watch the news. I don't get the newspaper anymore. If I want some amusement, I'll look at CNN. I glance at it to see if anything major's happened in the world, but otherwise it's just for amusement. But you know, take in the good stuff. On my podcast, I do these little 5-minute clips called Own Your Power. And it doesn't even matter if you don't like real estate, you'll enjoy them because they're just about motivation and owning your power. But even without mine, I mean, there's so much stuff on YouTube and so much great content out there. So stand guard at the door to your mind, just bring the good stuff in. Very important.
I love it. No, this is fantastic. And again, this mindset piece, it's funny. I wrote down 3 core topics. Mindset was number 1, because I think that's I think that's your superpower.
It's 80 to 90% of it, man. Yeah. I mean, I have people, you know, most people will go to a boot camp or they'll buy a course and 90% of them don't do a damn thing with it. Not on my watch. You know, at my live events, we spend a lot of time on mindset and on your identity and pushing through fear and limiting beliefs. You know, I got beat up when I was a kid and I got humiliated on the playground, stuff that everybody's gone through. But it created limiting beliefs in me. You know, I didn't feel like I was good enough. In fact, I used to ask myself the question, how can I show them I'm good enough? And so, you know, it's just so important to recognize these things if you have these blockages and deal with them. Because, you know, again, we don't want any regrets. And if you've got fear or limiting beliefs holding you back, deal with it. You know, and so let me just take 2 seconds and talk about that for 1 second, because it's so important, because I'm sure there are people listening that either feel like they're too old, they're too young, they're not smart enough, they're not organized enough, they're not analytical enough, or whatever your story is. And by the way, those are all stories. And what are stories? They're circuit breakers. They're so that you don't feel bad about yourself. You don't get disgusted. But I will tell you, disgust is very powerful. It will push you. But if you have those limiting beliefs or those stories, typically you'll recognize that they came from some childhood experience that you thought was factual, and your mind thought, you know, that you think it's factual because you had some emotional event that triggered it. But there's a reason that the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99% of them are, okay? But what's critical is when they pop up, pull them out into the daylight consciously. That's the operative word, consciously. I used to be an incredible introvert, and I did this and pulled it out in the daylight. And, you know, when I used to think I wasn't good enough, and I'd look at it rationally with my adult mind, I'd be like, I'm a gift from God. I've got a beautiful soul. All I care about is helping other people, you know. And I came to the realization that anybody that didn't like me or rejected me had their own BS going on, you know, or just didn't know me. And that was really it. I said, you know, if they don't like me, they either don't know me or they've got their own stuff going on. Guys, so if you have any of those limiting beliefs, the key is look at them with your adult rational mind, give them energy, conscious energy. It won't happen overnight. But if you do it every time they pop up and you shine that spotlight on them, they will diminish to nothing. Anyway.
I love it. So here's what, for those listening with questions, we had a couple in there. We're going to pivot in a second to raising capital and finding deals and all that. We'll get questions for us. So start firing up the chat box with questions you have.
You lost your voice again.
Yeah, you lost your voice again. So I just wanted to make sure everyone comments to all panelists and attendees.
I'm having trouble tonight.
Oh, you're back.
Am I back?
You're back.
Man, I don't know what's going on tonight. I got 2 different, whatever.
It's all good, brother. It's all good. Let me tell you the definition of a bad day. Interviewing a billionaire, and after you're done in an hour, realizing you forgot to hit the record button. So you aren't having that kind of a bad day.
I haven't done that with a billionaire, but I have done that before. So like I was saying, fire up the chat box with questions about capital raising and deals. But I want to ask this question of you, because you mentioned about vision boards and the goals that you list. I mean, you've got very, very tactical with how to outline your goals.
Yeah.
is the morning routine or something else your where you recall all of that, where you put that in front of you?
Yeah, I do
constantly?
that. I do that quick ritual. Hang on. I'll show you my vision boards. They're right here behind my green screen. Okay, I've got behind. I know you thought that was real. It's daylight here in Florida right now.
Yeah, I was going to say at 9 o'clock. Yeah.
But see, back here, you can see I've got a wall filled with hundreds of thank you cards from people whose lives I've impacted. Greatest gift in the world. But see my recliner there. So I sit in that recliner, and the first thing I do is I look at my gratitude board. Okay, I gave my brother a Rolex and my Tiny Hands Foundation and my kids, and giving food. My brother, so gratitude. Then I've got my vision board. Now some of the pictures are missing. I want to build schools in third world countries. So I sit there and I do the gratitude for the things that I already have, right? And then I do gratitude for the things that I want as if I already have them. Guys, trust me, it works. Just trust me, please. It absolutely works. Okay. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I do that every morning. Okay. Did I answer your question?
You did. Sorry, my connection got chopped on me again there.
Okay.
But no, that's amazing stuff. And I think your superpower in this space is the mindset piece. So I'm so glad you led with that. I'm so glad you gave so much detail there. I think there's a lot of people that are teaching multifamily that start with the multifamily, right? All right. If we're going to shift,
sorry I interrupted you.
No.
I have 1,100 5-star reviews and I get 1-star reviews because I interrupt. So if he would just let his guests finish saying their piece, I get excited and I interrupt. So forgive me for that. Let me say one thing that's really important as it relates to goals before we pivot, if you don't mind, because I just realized I forgot when I saw the foundation stuff on my board. So I built that house on the beach. Okay. I worked for that freaking thing for 20 years. Okay. I mean, it was amazing. I couldn't tell you all the amazing things that it had. I'll give you one example. It had a big spiral staircase up through the middle of the house. On the second floor, I built this custom aquarium. They had to build molds to put this curved aquarium visible on both sides, 20 feet long, 10 feet high. The aquarium was almost 200 grand. So that gives you an idea of the house. Okay. The house is magnificent. So 2 months after I moved in, I'm floating in my pool, giant waterfall from the second floor. You had to walk through the waterfall. I've got like tens of thousands of dollars worth of palm trees that lean out over the pool that, it's just magnificent. It was in magazines. The pool's changing colors. It's got fiber optic lighting. And I'm looking up at this, what I call testament to my ego. See, I had built this place to prove to the world I was good enough, to show the world that I mattered, to prove myself. Remember, my question was, how could I show them good enough? And I realized, and so I'm looking at this pool. I'm in the house. I'm in the pool and I'm looking at the house. And 2 months after I moved in, my family's inside sleeping and I get depressed. Now I don't just get a little bummed. I mean, I got really bummed. Okay. And I'm like, what the hell? How could I be depressed? I'm looking up at the stars in the sky, this magnificent house with the lights on it. And I'm bummed. And this is what I want to share because it's really important as it relates to goals. So what happened was, when I look back and I realized there were two things happening. One was, which relates to goals, and that is never achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it. Like the good book says, without a vision, the people perish. You got to have a vision for the future. Okay. It's very important. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. So that was one thing, but a bigger thing really. And this is why I want to share with you guys, because if you're listening, I know you want success. So this is really important. Really pay attention now. Okay. I was successful, but I was unfulfilled. Okay. I had been totally focused on Rod. Show the world I'm good enough. Show the world I matter. Thank God I stumbled across Tony Robbins. I got a bunch of books. I'm going to get some books. I'm going to get back. I got Dale Carnegie and Zig Ziglar. And one of them was Tony. So I went and saw Tony that year in Fort Lauderdale, Ben. And this was 20 years ago. And I found out that he fed families for the holidays. And I'm like, that's really freaking cool. Do something for somebody else instead of just for Rod, and what a concept, right? And I hadn't, I was 40 years old and I hadn't really done much like that. So I go home and I decide I'm going to feed 5 families. My brother and I did this, bought a bunch of food. We did it for Thanksgiving. We got frozen turkeys and, we called a church, said, who really needs help? I mean, who's desperate? And we're going to rock their world. We found out that, these families had kids. We got toys for the kids. And the third house that we went to changed my life, honestly. I walked up to it. It was a 1-bedroom shotgun house. You walk into the living room, You walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen. So it wasn't even a one bedroom. It was a shitty one bedroom. You got to walk through the bedroom to get to the kitchen, which has the bathroom off of it. Lady's there with 5 kids. Okay. She comes out, she sees the boxes of food on the porch. She sees the toys. She starts crying. Her kids come out. The older ones start crying. I start crying and I'm hooked. Okay. And I'm blessed to say we have now fed, and we're feeding 1,000 families Saturday. I'm making my mastermind guys teaching, we're going to give back. So amazing. We have now fed, as of Saturday, it'll be about 75,000 children here for the holidays. We've done thousands of backpacks filled with school supplies. We've done thousands of teddy bears for officers to keep in their vehicles when they encounter a child that's been traumatized. And I'm not bragging, guys. I just want to inspire you to do something, because don't say to yourself, I'll do it when I'm successful, because if you want success, it will come much faster if you bring it in right now. And I'm telling you, pick a family, pick a child, pick an elderly person, do help in some way, and it will ramp your success, because power moves to those that had value. Power moves to those that help. Okay. And give yourself that, because I will tell you, I've interviewed, like I said, billionaires on my show, mega millionaires. And I can tell when they're like I was back then, totally focused on themselves, narcissistic as it were. And I feel sad for them, because they're truly not successful. Success without this piece is not success. So anyway, before we went to goals, I just wanted to say that I'm ready to go wherever you want to take it.
No, that's okay. I think if you consume any of your content, if anybody consumes your content, it all begins with the same message, that start with contribution. That's always been your brand. So I appreciate you making sure that that gets out there, because I think all of us tend to forget that sometimes. You're lost in your own ego. So great message, man. I don't know how to pivot from this. We could do this for another hour. I could go for another
wherever
hour,
you want to take it, brother. I don't know. I thought I'd be tired, but getting on my soapbox, I got energy. So we can take this.
Well, so let's talk. Oh, hold on, Ben, before we get to that question in the group, because I do see it here, but let's talk about, I think it's part of this question. You mentioned about having a $15 or $17 million net worth, losing 50 million. So today you're obviously actively investing still, right? You're not.
Yes. I bought 1,000 doors this year.
You haven't folded the tent.
No.
So for those that maybe didn't invest pre-recession or whatever, what are your criteria today? How are you pressure testing those? Can you give us an idea of how?
Yeah. I just talked about this at the meetup I just spoke at. So our criteria. Now listen, I will tell you, play to your strengths, guys. Okay. In this multifamily space, play to your strengths. If you're the analytic, align, partner, or hire an outgoing person to work with. If you're the outgoing like me, I've got Robert that works with me. He's my partner. He's a CPA, done, I think, close to $1 billion in deals now. In fact, he was just looking at a deal, 2 deals over the last 2 days, 1,000 doors. And so here's how we stress test. And one of the ways is we won't buy a property unless it will break even at 25% vacant day one. That's number one. Okay. Now, once we do our projections, and our model is we refinance after in once or twice over the 3 to 5 year period, or we get a supplemental, a Fannie Mae supplemental, and then we give our investors all or most of their money back. And then once we've done that, and at year 5, our stress test is we have to be able to break even at 35% empty. Okay. So those are the 2 there. Now, we do some other things as well, but the thing I want to say is in this market, there's so much irrational exuberance. This looks like 2006 to me. Now it could last for a few more years. Who knows with Trump, or who knows, what's going to happen, but real estate goes through cycles, and you guys all know this. I've been through several of them, and I give you great examples of some of the things that have happened in value. In fact, I'll give you one. I was speaking in Denver this year, and I was able to cite the address, 3351 West 30th Avenue in Denver, Northwest Denver. This was a house back in the 80s. I flipped. I bought it for 56, sold it for 76. Okay. Market crashed. I bought it back for 18. Okay.
Wow. Sold
it a few years later for 160. It is now worth, I think, somewhere between 600,000 and 800,000. Okay. So guys, my portfolio in 2006, I told you what happened. In 2008, I was at a 30% loan to value. Okay. I only owed 30 cents on the dollar, and I went upside down. That's how far it crashed. Okay. Now, is that going to happen again? Probably not, knock on wood, but don't be afraid of it. With crisis comes opportunity. And so glad you asked the question, Jamie, about stress testing, because there's irrational exuberance going on right now. There's deals. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? They paid that much for that deal. We were only going to pay that much for. And you know, they may not lose them. They could lose them, but at the very least, their investors are not likely to get the returns that they're claiming they're going to get. So, you know, it's just, and I will tell you, the other thing is we have very high operating reserves. Okay. Like we bought an asset in Louisiana, and I'll describe the asset real quick. 403 doors. I was just literally just there last week. It was 70% occupied when we bought it. The seller paid 20 million 10 years ago. Okay. We paid 16 and a half 5 months ago. Okay. Now the property next door is 100% occupied. So we know it's not it's not the market. It's the more, I can't say it all. It was the dumbest management I'd ever seen. I mean, head scratching, freaking stupid. Okay. I think the guy ran out of money, but it was just done. Now, believe it or not, you want to talk about stress testing. We are now at 51% occupied, because whenever you're doing a reposition, you lose the riffraff. So we had to clean out a bunch of riffraff. We're at 51% occupied and we're breaking even. That's how conservative we are. Okay. Yeah. We have a Dallas asset, 208 doors in Dallas. We went and looked at that one too. We're at 65% loan to value, and we're still throwing off, 10% cash on cash plus and 20% IRR. That's what it's looking like. And it's going to happen. We're 100% occupied. And so we are, because of what happened to me, you get an appreciation for, being conservative, and because of what happened to me in 2008, I'm super conservative. So, and so is Robert. Anyway, I long answer to your question.
No, it's great. Ben, why don't we grab one or two questions from the group before I forget? Is there anything in there that jumped out?
There was a question in the Q&A at the very beginning, but I think Rod kind of answered that.
That was from Pedro, right?
Downturn on the economy. And
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it, Ben.
Essentially, should we prepare for a downturn, and should we be buying right now?
Yes. Cash is king, guys. Cash is king in a downturn. I've stockpiled a lot of cash right now. Now, I'm buying. We're in like best and final on almost 2,000 doors right now. Okay. Wow. So, we may not get them because, again, we're very conservative, but, Robert was in 2 states. I can't tell you which, because I don't want to give anybody any clues, but we're real close on a couple deals. I think we're in the top 3 on a couple deals, but we're kissing a lot of frogs right now. Okay. Right. We're probably looking at, not exaggerating, 200 deals to find one right now. Okay. And so, but there are a lot of guys that are doing real skinny deals right now. Now, to prepare for a downturn, cash is king. Now, what's beautiful about this multifamily real estate game, if you've listened to Jamie and Ben enough, is you don't need to use your own cash. Yeah, you can use your own money for the operational purposes, but I wouldn't put my equity in a deal right now. There's so much money looking for deals right now. I mean, use your money for earnest money, for the at-risk capital, the earnest money, the third-party reports that you're going to have for the bank, the due diligence costs, the inspections. Use your money for that, all of which you're going to get back from the deal, right, guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's I think cash right now, you want to hold on to it. And the other thing I'm going to suggest you do, if you're out there, pounding the pavement for investors, is pre-frame them. This came out at one of my masterminds. I was telling you guys before we started that I've got a mastermind. We're meeting here, and there's almost $6 billion in assets in that group. It's the largest multifamily mastermind, really, I think, on the planet at this point. But one of the guys in that mastermind said he's telling his investors, we're preparing right now, okay, and we're preparing for the downturn, and that is such a great strategy, because I'm going to tell you what happens when 08 and 09 happens. There is a lot of fear. It's like, oh my God, real estate crashed. It'll never come back. Okay. That's what's in all the papers. Okay. The media loves negative crap. And so they'll make it much worse than it is. Or even if it's bad, that's the best freaking time to buy. But if your investors are scared, you're not going to get them to invest. So you want to pre-frame them and get them ready, and so I thought that was a great tip, to pre-frame your investors, that you're getting ready and preparing for deals when they come through. Because I'm going to tell you, if you either have cash or access to cash, the most money is made at that time. You guys agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
100%. So real quick, Melody asked a question here. Don't you have to use your own money for the down payment? And do you want to just real quick touch on?
No, like I just said, Melody, the beautiful thing about multifamily is it's a team sport. So if you know a doctor that has a high net worth and high liquidity, you can go buy a multifamily property. And I'm going to tell you how. If you buy and your loan amount is over $1 million, you can get agency debt with all things being equal, meaning non-recourse. So just so you understand the difference between recourse and non-recourse. Recourse is if they foreclose and the property doesn't sell for enough to satisfy the debt, they can come after you personally. Ask me how I know.
How do you know, Rod?
No, please, let's not go there. Non-recourse is they only take the property. But the beautiful thing about this commercial, now I'm talking about commercial multifamily. I'm not talking about residential. Residential multifamily is 2 to 4 units. I'm talking about 5 units plus. 5 units plus, the lending institution looks at the team. So as long as your credit score is not terrible and you haven't had a bankruptcy or a foreclosure, you can bring in the liquidity. You can bring in the net worth. You can bring in the experience component to take down a deal. Now, I'm going to tell you on a Fannie or Freddie loan, which is agency debt, the net worth needs to be equal to the loan amount. But that can be 2 or 3 people. Like, we're looking at a $60 million deal. That's going to be 3 or 4 or 5 people to hit that $60 million net worth requirement. But again, the bank looks at the team. They're going to want to see after closing 10% of the loan amount in liquidity. It's a little different. One of them is 9 months. I forget which, but they both are right at about 10%. Mm-hmm. Okay. But again, that can be the team. So if you find one high net worth individual, the beautiful thing is Fannie Mae, whoever signs on the debt has to have signed on a previous Fannie Mae loan. But with Freddie Mac, that's not the case. You get a good third-party property manager that satisfies Freddie Mac, and you've got the net worth and liquidity licked, and you could even bring somebody in on the team for the at-risk capital, for that upfront money. If the deal's good enough, the key here is focus on finding great deals, because if the deal's good enough, hell, call me. I'll put up the at-risk capital and raise the equity. 800 of those 1,000 doors we bought were from people from my podcasts and coaching students sending me deals. So, but the point is, you can have somebody put up that at-risk capital. Now, everybody gets a piece. They get a piece for the at-risk capital. They get a piece for the thanks, Daryl. I'll see you in LA, brother. They get a piece for the equity. They get a piece for the asset management. Whoever brings the deal gets a piece. So it's carved up. It's a little complicated sometimes. We've got a spreadsheet that lines it out, but hopefully I answered her question.
I think you did. Yeah. No, the answer is no. You don't, like you said, it's about the team. It's about, who you bring to the table.
I guess I could have just said no, huh?
No, not at all. It was a great answer. Ben, there was a question from Raphael. I feel like that was about where to start. Did you see that somewhere?
I think the answer is going to be pretty straightforward, but should you start with multifamily investing near where you live, or should you start with 2 or 4 units or jump straight to commercial?
Well, listen, everybody has a risk muscle. Okay. Everybody has a courage muscle, and it grows. And I started in single family. Most of the people I've interviewed on my show started in single family and went to multifamily. That said, if you listen to my interview with Grant Cardone, he's like, I had a vet ask the question on the show. He's been on my show twice. He's a riot, but he and I got into it a little bit on this one, because a vet asked, hey, should I use my VA to buy a fourplex? And I'm like, hell yes, it's 100% financing. He's like, no, buy a 16 unit. And so we kind of bumped heads a little bit, and I could see the look on his face. I upset him. But the point is, guys, residential is a great place to start to house hack. If you're going to buy a house and you can convince your spouse to do a plex for God's sakes, because chances are you're going to live for free before too long. And you started your investment journey. But that said, a residential real estate is not a team sport. They're going to look at you. Okay. Now, the beautiful thing is if you put a contract on a fourplex and it's got leases, they'll use, I think, 75% of the rent on those leases to help you qualify for more than you'd qualify for if you were buying a house. But so that's house hacking. And I'd recommend that highly. If you're young and you're not married, or you've got a spouse that wants this as well, go find a plex first. But now if you're Northeast, that's 2 family, 3 family, 4 family. Anything 5 units or above is commercial. It's a team sport. And so the question was, where should you start? Buddy, whatever you feel comfortable doing. I will tell you, I asked the question on my podcast time and time again. If you could tell your 20-year-old self, I'm asking people that have thousands of doors, tell your 20-year-old self, with what you know now, what would you do differently? What's the answer I always hear? Jamie, what's the answer?
Nothing. Go
no,
bigger?
no, no.
Go
Go
bigger?
bigger, faster.
Go bigger.
It's always
faster.
the answer.
Yeah,
So there's the answer from people that have thousands of doors, my friend.
that's
It's all
true.
coming back to mindset. 'Cause you don't know what you don't know. So educate yourself and work on the mindset, I guess, is
True.
But,
It's true. Direct
Well,
from
don't dabble. Don't dabble in anything, especially multifamily real estate. Dabblers get their butts kicked. Okay. Educate yourselves. There's tons of free content. My website has tons of free content. In fact, let me say this.
Yeah.
I used to give away free copies of my book, and I gave away 20,000 copies. It's 200 pages. It's no fluff. It's not like some fluffy thing. It's like a textbook. But my team was like, hey, stupid, let's put it on Amazon and make some money. So I said, okay, so it's on Amazon now. But I created this tool book. It's on my website. It's free. It's like almost 70 pages. It's every possible question you would ever ask if you're looking at a deal. Okay. I mean, we use it all the time. I think it's the most comprehensive list of questions and things to think about. Now it's only for multifamily. It's not for single family, but you guys can put the link to it's rodkhleif.com, KHLEIF.com. And it's got every possible question you should ask. Just get it. It's free, for God's sakes. It's a no-brainer. It's really good. It's quality. I'm really proud of this. And I haven't seen anything this comprehensive in the business.
You're looking a little Wayne Dyer on that cover. I like it. It's a good looking cover.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right.
It's good looking. All right. Well, we are toward the top of the hour. So for the last couple minutes here, there's a couple questions here about LOI. I think you covered 200 deals is where you are at before you get one. So you're submitting LOIs all the time. But Rod, you've got live events. You've got a lot of content. You mentioned your website. Where can people find more? What do you have coming up?
Yeah, thanks. I'm going to be in LA January 17th, 18th, and 19th. And unlike my competitors, I don't bring in a bunch of people to sell you shit. It's just me for 3 days. It's drinking through a fire hose. I'm going to tell you that. Yeah. But I do spend a lot of time on mindset, because I'm not going to have you come and not do what you learn. Okay, so. I would recommend, by the way, remember, peer group is so important. Go to write this down, guys, multifamilycommunity.com. That's my Facebook group. And I have, I think, almost 31,000 people there. So largest multifamily group on the planet. And again, just like this group here, you want to be around people, and you want to go to your meetups and be around people that want more. But go there if you want to find out about my live event, because just put in multifamily bootcamp and you'll see hundreds of comments and posts and testimonials and pictures. But it's rodinlosangeles.com. And I'll tell you what, I'll do something for your listeners and watchers. Give me a name. Give me like and I'll have this first thing in the morning. My team might even do it tonight. But give me a name, and they'll have $100 off if they put this name in. So wow. What do you want?
Multifamily and more.
Written out. Multifamily and more. Upper, it won't matter. Upper and lower case. I will have this set up no later than 10 a.m. Eastern, guys. So if you want $100 off a ticket, multifamily and more will be the coupon. Let me just write it down, because I will forget. Multifamily and more. Okay. And so my live events are a blast. I mean, they're a lot of fun. And then, my website has a ton of free content, books like this thing, and videos and all kinds of stuff. And I'm happy to help. If you've ever got a question, you'll find if you DM me, you actually get an answer. People are like, is this a bot? And then I send them a picture of me in front of the TV answering the question. So I
can speak to it. I asked you about this and you replied right through Instagram.
Well, there you go. There you go. Boom.
Yeah.
I didn't know who you were at the time. So there you go.
That's right. No, man, this is incredible. I really appreciate it on your live events. It's amazing. I haven't been to one yet. I almost went to Baltimore. I had a conflict.
Buddy, as my guest, done. Okay. Just let me know when you want to come. Okay.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's amazing. That's actually incredible. But I was going to say, seasoned investors go to all of them. Like they go to multiple a year.
On Saturday nights, I have panels. Okay. Now, I don't let anybody on stage that's not in my mastermind, because on Sunday I say, hey, you want to come to my mastermind? We just lost him. But I have panelists on Saturday nights. There, you're back. It's okay, brother. On Saturdays, I have panels, and I usually have somewhere between 2 and 3 billion in assets on stage, answering questions till 10 o'clock at night. We bring in a cash bar, and it gets stupid by about 9, yelling "shut up" in the back. But it's a lot of fun. And like in Baltimore, and I'm going to have it again in LA. I had an all women's panel. I had 3 women on stage, 10,000 doors between them. So if you're a female watching this, come to LA, you'll be blown away and inspired. My friend Maureen Miles is there. She and I both worked at UPS loading trucks Okay. She now has 3,000 doors. Okay. So don't tell me your excuses. Single mom, anyway.
You could do it, right?
You can do it. Just do it.
Amazing women that are on tonight. Melody, Annette, heed his warning. It would be incredible to get there, and I'll get to one as soon as well. January 17th might be one, actually, now that I think about it. So.
Awesome. Yeah, it's 3 days, 17th, 18th, 19th. Still early bird pricing even, so you get 100 off early bird pricing too. So it's rodinlosangeles.com. And like I said, I'll have multifamily and more as the coupon tomorrow.
Man, that's very generous of you. Thank you, Rod, for your time. We're a little over 9 o'clock, so thanks for staying on a little late with us tonight. Truly appreciate it. There's some other questions there. Maybe we can get you back sometime to answer some more of this stuff, but I really appreciate this. This is incredible.
Man. I enjoyed it a lot. We can dig in on more multifamily stuff if we do it again.
Beautiful. And, Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Benoit, thanks for bringing the tie, buddy. You spruced the place up.
Pleasure to meet you, Ben.
Anytime. Pleasure to meet you. And I'll be, I had a little list of places to go visit for my next move. And I think I'm now going to switch up the list and look at places that I can't afford today.
There you go.
Love it, man. That's it, man. That's why I went to Fort Lauderdale. I'm looking at these yachts and and it makes it real. Anyway, thanks. I'm glad I inspired a little bit, brother.
All right. Well, thanks for the energy tonight, my friend. Thanks for staying up late with us. Have a great evening. And thanks to all of you for tuning in tonight. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Take care.